What's going on, guys? So today we're going to take a look at one of the best running watches that you could get for the beginner in your life or for yourself. That's the Garmin Forerunner 55. Alright guys, so Garmin did send over this watch for me to do a review of, but we did no program whether I should do a positive or negative review. This is my own thoughts on this watch. And like I said, this is the Garmin Forerunner series. This is the watch that is made for runners. If it has Forerunner on it, that is a runner specific watch. It has a lot more running metrics on it, and we'll see if this one lives up to it. Because the Garmin Forerunner 45, it didn't really have a lot of running metrics on it. It was basically just a Garmin watch with GPS. But now this one, this upgraded one, it does cost a little bit more. We'll talk about that later. It has a lot more to offer than just the regular Garmin Forerunner 45. So they have really upped this watch to bring you a lot of stuff in it. But let's go ahead and take a look at the watch first off. This is the watch. You see, it is that nice rounded face, and it is also a nice band over here. In the previous series, the Garmin Forerunner 45 had this type of wristband over here where it doesn't actually articulate. This is kind of stuck right there. But if you look at the Garmin Forerunner 55, it does have this over here, and also has the quick release bands as compared to the 45, which you actually would have to take a screwdriver, and if you wanted to switch out the bands, you would have to take a screwdriver and switch it out that way. This one has these quick release bands over here. But first off, let's take a look at the front. Like I said, this is a round face watch, and I do like that the Garmin Forerunner 55 is a round face because the round faces are just more aesthetic to me. I like the look of that on the watch. So we'll start from the top of this watch. The top of the watch is a glass over here. This is not a Gorilla Glass. This is a chemically strengthened glass, so it's probably going to be a little bit more prone to scratches than other watches. I do have a Venue 2. I have other watches that have Gorilla Glass, and they still scratch, even though they say they are scratch resistant. Those still scratch if I do anything with them. So with this watch being a chemically strengthened glass, you're probably going to want to get a protective covering for this watch because it will scratch more easily. For me, if I do get a scratch on my watch, it really annoys me and I almost don't want to wear it anymore. So make sure to get something that protects your screen if you can. So let's move on to the watch itself. This watch is a 42 by 42 by 11.6 millimeter watch. And if you see it on my wrist right here, it looks pretty good. I do prefer a bigger watch, probably a 45 millimeter watch, but for a watch this size, for a watch, you know, this is going to be the lowest end of the Forerunner series. I think that this watch looks really good to me. Actually, it's comparable to the Forerunner 245 with music that I have, almost the same form factor as that one. So this is a 42 millimeter watch. Like I told y'all, the screen size on this watch is only 1.04 inches. So not a huge screen on here. You can see it has a rather large bezel. But whenever I am using it, I don't really mind it. I don't really have to squint to see the metrics that I'm looking for whenever I'm running or working out or whatever. I think the size is good, but I would prefer a bigger watch face if I could have one. But like I said, it's not going to be a bad watch face. And then this watch face is a TFT screen. So that's just going to mean that this watch face is not going to be as dynamic as like something like an OLED screen like the Apple Watch has or the Venue 2 has. This is really going to be made for sports specific people, and it's easily read in sunlight. So if I do turn off the backlight, you can still see everything really good as compared to if you had something like an OLED screen. It's gonna be a little bit harder to see. So this one does have that TFT screen. So let's go ahead and turn on that backlight. You can see it does have a backlight if you turn it on over there. The display resolution on the Garmin Forerunner 55 is 208 by 208 pixels. Like I said, it looks fine to me. I don't have any real complaints about, you know, the way that the watch looks or whatever. It looks just fine for me. And then the weight of this watch, if you do weigh it, weighs about 37 grams. So really light. And like I said, if you put it on your wrist, you don't really notice it's there. It is a smaller form factor than other watches. And sometimes those bigger watches, like those 45 millimeter watches, do tend to be a little bit bigger, and they do tend to be a little bit more bulky, especially if you are wearing them all day and all night. And since this one does do sleep tracking, you would want to wear this at night. So for me, I think the smaller watch like this one, this 42 millimeter Forerunner 55 is gonna be a perfect size. Probably gonna notice it's there because of the small size and the lightweight of the watch. And just because it has a lightweight doesn't mean it doesn't have a lot of features. Let's go ahead and look at the back side of the watch. The back side of the watch is going to contain the Elevate heart rate monitor. And for me, whenever I did compare it to other watches like my Venue or my 245, it worked well. I do a lot of slow training, so when I am doing slow training, I'm looking at my heart rate. And whenever I compared it to my chest heart rate at the slow training pace, it worked well. But if you are going to do some high intensity workouts, you're probably going to want to get a chest heart rate strap, just because the wrist heart rate monitors are never going to be as accurate as something like a chest heart rate strap. It's just not going to compare. If you are wanting correct, accurate heart rate readings, definitely get a chest heart rate monitor. But other than that, I think that this heart rate monitor works really good. And of course, you do have the charging port right here. It does take that Garmin charging plug. You just plug it in like that. I wish it did have like USB-C, but I can see why it doesn't have that, just because it's gonna be harder for them to put a USB-C plug into this. But if you have a Garmin watch from like the last 2 to 3 years, you'll probably have the same plug, and it takes the same plug over here. And then you can see the Forerunner badging over here, Forerunner 55. So this is a Garmin 55 watch. So if we look at the buttons on here, this is not a touch screen. The only way you can control it is by the buttons, and it does have 3 buttons on the left side and 2 buttons on the right side. So let's go ahead and look at the buttons and what do they do. The top one right over here is going to be for the light, the backlight. So if you pull that down, it'll turn on the backlight. The middle one on the left side is going to be the up button. So you can go up on the screen or down on the screen. So that's going to be the bottom right button over here. It's going to go down. So that goes up on the middle one, and then the bottom one is going to go down. So then if we go to the right side, you have the start and stop button over here. So that's going to start a workout. If you want to start a workout or stop a workout, you just press that button. And this bottom right button is going to be the back button. So if you want to go back to your main menu, this main screen right here is going to be right there. So that's going to be the screen. And also, if you do hold down this left middle button, it will take you to this menu settings screen. So you could do some further stuff over here, change the appearance, do the sensors, connect the Bluetooth to your phone, all that other stuff that it has over here. If you hold the bottom right one, it's going to take you to the music. So this does have music controls. You cannot store music inside of it. This will just control the music on your phone. So you can just hold that button down, and then it will start music. Or stop it. You can move backwards, forwards, even control the volume if you want to control the volume on here as well. So there's those features for the music. And then if you press and hold this top button, the light button, this is going to take you to your quick menu over here, and that's going to allow you to have actions like find my phone. This is one that I really like. You just press that, and then your phone will go crazy. So right there, you can hear my phone going crazy. If you go down to the next one, you have your timer, you have a stopwatch, you have alarms over here. You can add alarms, you can lock the screen, you can turn off or on the watch, and then you have the safety assistance mode. So basically the safety assistance mode is that you would connect it to somebody. Right now I have it as my girlfriend. So if your watch senses that you did a sudden stop, if you're going like 20 miles an hour on your bike and suddenly you stop during a workout, it's gonna think that something went wrong, or maybe you tripped real fast when you were descending down a mountain. It's going to sense that there's something wrong, something awry, and it's going to use your phone to contact your emergency contact on there, letting them know that there is an issue and you should definitely check out on that person. So that's a good safety feature that you can have on your phone. And then the next one is the phone connected symbol over here. You have sync, so if you want to sync your watch to Garmin Connect, it has that, but it usually automatically does that, so I never have actually used this. And then you have the do not disturb mode, so say you're at the movie theater, you don't want to be disturbed by any notifications, because it does have smart notifications. You can use the do not disturb mode, and it will not disturb you during your movie or a meeting or whatever you don't want to be disturbed at. So the next thing that we have to look at on this watch is going to be glances. So if you just press down on your watch, you have all these little fitness tracking glances, because it does have fitness tracking. It does have like daily step modes, your heart rate, all that fun stuff. So on the older Garmin's, they actually had these each on one screen. So that's what this Glances does. Instead, it gives you a quick glance at all your little metrics over here that you can see instead of having it all on one page. You can see right here, this is the race predictor and VO2 max. So if I click on that, you see my VO2 max right here. Not that great. But if you click down on this, you get some more information. You'll see it has my race predictor. It predicts what I could do on a race. I think this is pretty accurate. Probably a 27-minute 5K. My half marathon, I probably could do a little faster than that. And my marathon, I think I could do a little faster too. I haven't been wearing the watch a lot. I've been wearing it for about the last 2 or 3 weeks. So maybe not as accurate, but I would say pretty accurate to my level of fitness. And then if you go further, you have your recovery time. If I did train, it would tell me how many days or how many hours I would need to recover after a hard workout. So then we got that. And then you go down here. This is going to be my weekend training. So this is my last workout over here. You can see I did a workout on Friday with this watch. I've been training more with another watch as well. And then the next one we have is the heart rate. This is going to be, the heart rate that I have. This is right now it's reading 75, 74. Of course, it's not on me. And it has my average. All the fun little data that you could want. The next one is going to be the body battery. So basically this is kind of estimating how tired you are or how recharged you are during the day. Right now it's saying that I have about a 40 body battery. So that means I'm pretty tired. And this takes into account how much you slept the day before, the night before, and also how much you've been working out. So this will, estimate your body's battery depending on all those levels. Also your stress levels, it'll take into account that and it'll give you a number. And, I think that's pretty accurate, I guess, but I wouldn't really depend on your watch telling you how good your energy levels are. Next thing we have is steps. So it does have a step counter. If you are into counting your steps, this will definitely do it for you. It'll tell you all the steps you've done in one day. That's a good feature. Then it also has notifications. Notifications is something that I think that Garmin does really good at, because this does have smart notifications and other watches do have that as well. But sometimes those other watches gives you too many notifications. It'll tell you each time you change your music, each time you change your YouTube video, each time you do anything on any of the apps. So I think that Garmin doesn't really give you all those notifications. It just gives you the ones that you really need. Like you can see right here, it gives me my text messages. It gives me some of my emails over here. And that's really all I want. I don't need everything else. I find that these notifications are just perfect for what it gives me. The next one we have is weather. Weather is going to tell you the weather for the day, of course. So if you click on it, it'll tell you today is 50 degrees, which is pretty good for Texas. It'll tell you the wind, the chance of rain. And if you click down further, it'll tell you hourly how the weather will be and the chance of rain throughout the day. So pretty good feature as well that you have on your watch. And then the next one you have is your workout calendar. This one will actually give you a suggested workout. For me right now, I have put in my training plan in there, so I have a set amount of miles that I want to do each day. But if I didn't do that, it would actually give me a suggested workout. It would say something like run for 20 minutes at an easy pace, something like that. It'll give me a suggested workout, or it'll actually tell me when to rest. So this watch has that smart coach feature inside of it that it'll tell you when to rest, when to run, and how much to run. And it'll only give you run workouts. It won't give you like a strength training workout or yoga workouts. It'll just tell you when to run and when to rest. And it'll tell you how much to run. So pretty neat feature that Garmin has on here. And the last one is something that I actually think is, what I talked about earlier, the activities for the day. So that is the Glances features. I really like that, but this is a running watch. I am a runner. I do ultra marathons, 5Ks, all the distances. I'm not super fast, but I do still run. So let's take a look at the running features that it does have. So let's go ahead and click on this and we'll see run. But first off, I do want to show you all the different activities that it does have. Right here, you can see it has run and cardio. Basically, I think that those are the two that you really, really need, especially if you're a runner. Cardio, I use that for anything from weight training to yoga, any of that, because it's going to tell you the same metrics regardless. I don't think there's anything special if you do put it on those specific modes. Weight training, it'll tell you to put different sets, but I find it inaccurate and I don't really use it. So cardio is the one that I usually go to. But if you do want to have other activities, you can have treadmill, track run, Track Run is actually pretty good because it will accurately measure the track that you're on and tell you exactly where you are. It didn't have this before in my other watch. Whenever I did my 100K on a track, I did 248 laps. So when I was using that old Vivo Active 3 that didn't have a track mode, it would actually move the start of the lap for me whenever I was running. So if I started over here, it would tell me my lap is, over here now. So it would keep on moving the lap. If I had this feature, it would be accurate. And whenever I started my lap, it would be accurate, if that makes sense. So lap mode, good thing if you do a lot of track work or if you want to do 100K on a high school track like I did. So the next sports profile that it has is bike, it has walk, it has other. If you go to this one, if you want to add some more, it has indoor track, virtual run, bike indoors, walk indoors, pool swim, yoga, elliptical, HIIT workout, which is actually pretty good as well. You could, have the timer on there and it'll tell you when to rest and when to go for your HIIT training. It has stair steppers, Pilates, and also breathe work. So breathe work is basically going to tell you, breathe in for 5 seconds and then breathe out. It's a cool feature. I've used it once or twice, in the last 3 years, but definitely something that I don't use too much. I probably should, but I really don't. So let's take a look at that running mode. So this is a running channel. This is what we're gonna look at and focus on. So here's the run right here. You can see that I have workouts for today. I have a 6 miler. Let's go ahead and dismiss that. And once you press that button, it will look for GPS over here. So you just have to start your workout and you can see right here, it has all the metrics that you want. Right now, I set it to distance, the time, the pace, and then the lap pace. You could put these to anything you want, heart rate, cadence, all that fun stuff. But this is what I have on my screens. And then you have other screens as well. Heart rate, zone, all that. If you do want to train by heart rate, you can press this middle button, this middle left button, and go to run settings. And then what I like to do for me, since I do low heart rate training, I set it to alert me whenever I go out of this zone from 120 to 145. It'll alert me if I'm out of those zones, and that means I'll either have to, slow down and walk, or just slow down overall, or speed up and run. So that's what it'll do. I like that. You can set it for cadence, you can set it for heart rate, for pace, for speed, all those different features, and I really like that. Like I said before, the screen is easily read, so I had no issues with that. I do wish it was a little bit bigger than 1 inch or 1.03 inches, but the screen is suitable for what it is. So is the GPS data accurate? I think, like I've said before in a lot of my running watch reviews, I haven't really had issues with any of these watches being super inaccurate. For me, whenever I run with a friend, we always have the same GPS data. It may be a little bit of difference, but as long as they're the same every single time, I'm good with that. And I find that this GPS data is pretty accurate as well. Some other things that it is missing an altimeter barometer. So it's not going to give you how much you climbed or how much you descended. It'll just take that from GPS data. So it's not going to be super accurate for that. So that's one thing that it is missing. It's also missing pulse ox. If you are one of those runners that want to have your pulse ox, this watch is not going to have that. So maybe look for another watch above this Garmin Forerunner 55 series. I think the Venue 2 has pulse ox, and so does the 245 and above. So anything besides this watch is going to have those two things, pulse ox and an altimeter. Also, this watch also has Garmin Coach, so you can have a pace buddy if you want to run with a pace. It'll tell you how far you are behind the pace that you want to go. It also has finish time, so it'll tell you, depending on what finish time you put, what pace you should go and if you are behind or above it. So those are some of the more running specific features that the Forerunner series has. I don't think the Venue or Vivo Active series has those features. So what is the battery life on this watch? I'm actually really impressed with the battery life on this watch because it has a really good battery life. It'll last you about 2 weeks if you don't really use a lot of the running features. But if you do use it for an ultra marathon or something, it'll last you about 20 hours. So this watch has a pretty long GPS battery life for the price of this watch. I'm pretty impressed with the battery life on GPS mode and not on GPS mode. 2 weeks of watch life is great because I really don't like charging my watches. After using Apple Watch, having to charge that every day, I'm glad to have a watch that will last 2 weeks before you have to charge it again. All right, so how much does this Garmin Forerunner 55 cost, this will cost you $199, and it has been raising price from what it was. I think whenever they first came out with the Garmin 25, it was like $129, and then the Garmin 45 was $150. So now this watch is $199. It is a little bit more than it was before, but it has a lot of features. I would actually say that this watch is similar to the Garmin 245. It's just missing some of the features like pulse ox and the barometer, but overall, I would say that this is a really good watch for the price. So what are my pros and cons? My pros is going to be all the little features that it has on this watch that they upgraded that it didn't have before. Before on the 45, it used to just be a simple GPS watch, didn't have a lot of features, but now this is a strong watch that has Garmin Coach. It has race predictor, it has suggested workouts, a ton of different features on it that it didn't have before. So that's definitely one of the pros. Another pro is going to be the battery life. 2 weeks on standby mode and 20 hours on GPS mode. You can definitely run an ultra marathon, probably up to a 100K. You can 100 mile if you're super fast. I probably won't be able to run a 100 miler with this watch, but you can go a long time. 20 hours is a long time for a Garmin watch, and especially at this price point at $199. So those are gonna be my two main pros of this watch, the features that it has and also the battery life. As for my negatives, I do wish that it had a little bit of a bigger screen. Like it's only 1.1 inches or less than 1.1 inches, about 1 inch. I wish it was a little bigger. I wish that the bezel was not so big. But like I said, it's really not that bad, but I do wish it was a little bit bigger display. Another negative is going to be that it is missing the barometer and it is missing the pulse ox that other watches do have. But at this price point, especially since I live at sea level, I don't really see a lot of elevation anyway. It's not a big factor for me. So those are gonna be my negatives. So who is this watch for? I do think that this is a great watch for beginners. I would suggest this for high school cross country kids, for high school track kids, for college kids. Basically, if you are into running and you don't need a lot of these other features and don't want a super fancy looking watch like the Phoenix series or the Venue series, this watch is going to be a solid watch, especially if you don't need a barometer on your watch or a pulse ox. So I would say this watch is really great for any runner out there. It has a lot of features that other watches at this price point don't have. So what am I gonna give this Garmin Forerunner 55 as a Goku Runner rating? I'm gonna give this watch a Goku Runner thumbs up. I think that for the price $199, it has a lot of features in it that it didn't have before, and now it has it. It's a strong, powerful running watch. It's gonna give you suggested workouts, race predictor, a lot of cool features that a lot of runners want. It's just missing a few things that the higher end watches do have, like contactless payments. It doesn't have barometer, it doesn't have pulse ox, some of those little things that it doesn't have. But if you don't need those things, then this watch is going to be the watch for you. Alright guys, hope you guys enjoyed this review of the Garmin Forerunner 55. If you guys did, give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace